isn't the season to overindulge. And if you did that and you're looking to cleanse in the new year, so happy new year, by the way. And I wanted to tell you about castor oil packs. I love my Queen of Thrones castor oil pack because it's the easiest one to use. And they have incredible products and they have organic castor oil, easy to put on, easy to use, easy to clean. And they also have a new roller that of castor oil that you can travel with that and it's easier to put on, not so messy. So I just ordered myself one of those. So you can check out Queen of Thrones, good for men, good for women, good for children, great for thyroid, digestive health, liver support, all of those kinds of things. So check that out. And if you want to get a discount, you can use Dr. Kelly 10 and get a discount at checkout. So that's DRKELLI 10 at checkout. My beautiful British friend, Donna Francis, is my next guest on the show. And I wanted Donna to come on. Well, first of all, she's a wonderful human being. She is a bright light in the world, and I absolutely adore her. But we were talking not too long ago about beauty and about aging and about how she just has this beautiful take on aging and beauty at any age and authenticity. And I said, you need to come on the show and talk about that. We also talk a little bit about anxiety, menopause, all kinds of things. And of course, she shares some exciting news about her next move with her show that she is launching in January. So I hope that you enjoy listening to Donna as much as I enjoyed talking with Donna. Welcome to the Nourished Soul. I'm so excited to have you on the show because you're one of my favorite people of all time. So,
Oh, you'll make me cry.
well, we might cry, but I don't think so because we have such a good time together that I think we're going to have a really good time on this show. So,
We have such a good connection that we're wearing the same outfit.
and that's strange. I never wear this shirt. Like, never. And I picked it out today. So,
I mean, this I haven't worn since my mum was last here, which was last year because it was ironed, because I never iron anything. So
oh, I
how
don't know. Right, I don't iron.
I
That's
know.
right. That's funny. Yeah, so I wanted to start because, as an award-winning beauty editor, I just really appreciate your views on beauty, and I thought maybe we could start there of, how do you even define beauty at this point in your life?
Yeah. Well, it's really strange because when I tell people I'm a beauty editor, I I'm a little bit embarrassed because I feel like it sounds really superficial. And that is so not
Mm,
what I'm about, as you know.
right.
So when you say, how do I define beauty? It's really not a superficial thing to me.
Mhm.
It's so much more than what goes on the outside. It's all about what goes on in the inside. And this is something, as a beauty editor, I mean, traditionally a beauty editor, you write about makeup, you write about trends, you write about skincare. My passion is skincare. But throughout my career, I've really tried to talk about the kind of more whole inner side of beauty as well as the
Mhm.
outside. And I have done that through kind of work. As well as writing, I direct shoots. So, model shoots for magazines, etc. Now, websites. And I'm always really strict about having like a no retouch policy because I want to see people's personalities coming through. I'm kind of like the ex Kardashian generation. So beauty really is to me about celebrating your individuality and owning that, because I know I've worked with so many models over the years and they
Mhm.
can be the most beautiful on paper person. They can have the right statistics, they can have the right eye color, everything, but they will walk into a casting and actually, if they've got an ugly soul, then they're an ugly person. And then the same way, the other side, you can meet someone that feels a little bit insecure about the way she looks, but she'll have the most beautiful soul,
Mhm.
and she will be the most beautiful person. So I think for me, my passion is about helping women make the most of their what they feel are positives, and making the most of also their negatives, because it's the so-called flaws that sometimes really make you that individual person. So that's what beauty is to me. It's all about individuality and finding your confidence through beauty.
Yep, that's you pretty much in a nutshell. And I
Oh,
love that about you. You're really all about authenticity. So that the individual, everything, the good, the flaws, all of it,
yeah.
but that authenticity. And I thought, we might talk a little bit about that. Like what is authenticity, and how does that feel in your work, in your life?
I think it goes back to feeling really comfortable with who you are,
Right. Right.
which not is not sometimes an easy thing,
No.
especially in different stages of your life, I think.
Right.
Um, so that is how I try. That's my goal, is to be me. And I think even if you show weakness or vulnerability, that makes you even more beautiful. For
Mhm.
me, someone who might not be perfect, even on this podcast, if I make a mistake,
Yeah.
or if you make a mistake, I think you are so much, you're respected, and you're seen as human. And I think that's another thing. But I know, I get it's hard. This is something I struggle with every day. And you'll go into different situations in life and you think, oh, I really want to just be myself, but if I say the wrong thing, what are people going to think? Or if I look the wrong way,
Yeah.
what are they going to think?
Mhm.
But I really believe if you do stay to your authentic self,
Mhm.
and you can change throughout
Uh,
the
yeah.
can change, and that's fine, as long as you feel comfortable in yourself the way you are. Then that there's nothing worse than when someone's being fake. When it's not really them, don't you?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think I've always tried to, I don't know, yeah, I've always tried to make people feel like they can be comfortable around me,
Uh,
whoever they
yeah. Yeah.
are.
Well, you're easy to be around and you're very likable. I'm always, how I am. I'm like, everybody hugs you, Donna. Not everybody's giving me a hug. What am I, the prickly pear over here? But you are very likable, friendly, warm, very genuine person. And so I think that to me is an authenticity. And you're right, it does shift because as I reinvent my life, which we'll talk about reinventing life in the different ways, but different times in our life, I'm in this process of I get to reinvent my life. And sometimes I feel like authenticity, I I'm really thinking about that a lot, of how much of what I do is just programming, like something I have a dirty mouth, but most people don't know I have it's a
uh,
really basic thing, but I've been like, do I really is that like my authentic self when I'm most comfortable, I just talk how I want to? Or
yeah.
is it something that I don't really want to take with me necessarily? I'm like really looking at these things.
No, I get that. It's funny. I do think for me, it's a lot of the way I was raised
Right.
is the reason why I am, and that's counts for a lot of people. But I
Mm.
think for me, I grew up in a really I had like working class parents that did really well, and I went to then a really posh school. So I think the way I am trying to make people feel comfortable is the lot down to that,
Right.
because I used to feel like I didn't want to put on an accent when I went to school. I wanted to stay true to my roots. I didn't want to be seen. I saw so many other girls that would try to fit into the cliques. And I felt really strongly that I didn't want to do that, because my mum and my dad really installed into me from an early age, be proud of who you are, and whoever you're with,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter who they are, they're all human,
Right.
and you stay to, to your authentic self. But I do get it, because, even obviously I moved to America recently, and
Yeah. Speaking of reinventing your life, you've just moved from the UK to America.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's been 2 years now, but it sometimes it feels 2 years, sometimes it doesn't. But it's funny, I feel like I can be more myself here than anywhere. And
Wow.
that is because I think in the UK,
Mhm.
with my industry, I've been in the industry for 25 years. So everyone knew me. Whereas here, no one knows me. So there's no preconceptions.
Right.
But then that's not made me want to be someone else.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Did you feel like you could be yourself in this
yeah.
industry back in the UK? Yeah.
Mm,
When you started? Yeah. Think about that for a second.
no.
Right. Because there's a process, right? When you become more comfortable in your skin. Was there a time? Do you remember what that was about? When you just got more comfortable with?
When I remember once I left university and I went to work on a fashion magazine in London. And I worked in the fashion department, and I worked for free for like 18 months in the fashion cupboard. And actually, the fashion editor was lovely, and she really has been a big mentor in my career. So I was lucky that I had her, but the other assistants around me were very affected. And it was all about going to the right parties, wearing the right outfits, although I felt like I did wear it because that was my thing. I loved fashion, so I was quite confident in that way, but I did feel like I didn't speak the right way. I wasn't quite posh enough,
Mhm.
even though I'd been to quite a good school. On the face value, people didn't realize that, which is not right. I'm not saying that's right, but it made me feel like I wasn't quite there. Um, so then I remember going, I kind of then felt a bit more comfortable because I had this amazing boss that was great, and she made me feel comfortable. But
Right.
I remember going to launches and fashion parties a lot, and at first feeling a bit insecure and like, oh, how should I behave? But eventually getting better. And then this one time I took my sister, and she walked in the room and she was like, I don't know how you can come to these parties. Everyone's so fake. And it made me look at it in a really different light. And I thought, oh, I thought I'd picked that up, but I hadn't picked it up.
Mhm.
I think I just got used to it. My filter had, maybe, I don't
Mhm.
know what word it would be, but it had changed slightly. So yeah, I just feel I did used to feel like I didn't really fit in. And I think I can still say that I never did fit into there was a lot of cliques,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really,
Cliques, what we would call
I don't know
cliques.
if that's at cliques, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cliques,
There's
cliques.
probably going to be a lot of those during this conversation, those different words.
I love that. I have fun with that. That's one of my favorite things to do with you is to have the
I
word
know.
game. Yeah, but I think a lot of people can relate to feeling insecure. And then we do as women, I hate to leave the men out of this because I'm sure they can relate to some of it, but the truth is we start chasing, I don't know, like this product and this lift and that injection and all kinds of for me, I just never wanted to squirt. I'm not going to inject anything. No offense to people who decide to do that, but I was like, I just don't know about that. Like that seems not like something I want to do, but I too I'm like, yeah, but would that help? Because I think we're very focused on when we don't feel comfortable in our skin. And even if we do, what else can we do to look better so that we are accepted, so that we're liked, so that we're, whatever, on and on with that.
It's so it that's what, as a beauty editor, that's what my goal is, not for women to feel like they need to fit into a box.
Right.
And so, yes, a pot of cream might make your skin look better. And obviously, a lot of my job is about that, finding the right creams to give you a gorgeous glow. Um, but really, it's not about that.
Right, because if you're not glowing from the inside, I don't really care what you smear all over you. It's not gonna it's certainly not gonna be authentic, but it's not gonna shine through. And so, and you mentioned souls, there are some beautiful souls that their soul just shines through. And there are also, ways for us to take good care of ourselves so that we shine from the inside out.
100%. I'm all into the holistic. Going back to what you said about, injections and injectables and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't, as you know, I haven't had Botox, which is a very rare thing in my industry. Most beauty editors have dabbled in it, and like you, I've got no. I think whatever makes you happy and feel more confident, that is fine. I just don't feel that comfortable because I feel like if you start, where do you stop?
Right. That's my thing. Yeah.
And I'm a bit nervous that I might like it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. Yeah.
I'm never going to say never,
Right.
but not at the moment. But also, I feel like you have a risk of everyone looking the same. And
Right.
to me,
Oh, yeah, you're big on that.
yeah, I'm really passionate that we should, again, going back to what I was saying, celebrate our individuality and not, when you look at some of the 20 something
Mhm.
year old girls that are all having Botox at a very young age, and too much Botox, they are starting to look the same. And they all have the same eyebrows, their faces don't move, they're having the same kind of makeup look. And again, I don't like to make, if anyone's
Criticize. Yeah.
listening to this, yeah, I just feel like, as media, and in my responsibility
Mhm.
should be about making women feel good in what they're born with, not
Mm,
having to make yourself look
right.
younger. Even we should own our age.
Well, you always say that too, and yeah, I agree, as long as I continue to look pretty young.
But I know it's really hard. It's
It
really hard. But
is.
I think as a media, we need to show more women that are older, that have lines, but that
Right.
look great. There are so many great actresses out there. Helen Mirren, but Cindy Crawford's even looking amazing. She's
Well,
not had a lot of work done. I know she's a supermodel, but we need to normalize
the
what
wrinkles and the mhm.
exactly, because we're so used to just seeing expressionless, flat, poreless skin that just doesn't look real.
Right, yeah. Well, and then you always talk about beauty at any age and just embracing that and embracing what's beautiful. So, yeah, I think that there's this fine, not even a fine line, but there's a balance between doing what we can to look as good as we can, but also embracing whatever age we are. And it's really about being healthy. Like if we're really healthy, then I think, we can reverse age ourselves.
I
So
mean, there's so much, the holistic side of beauty is
right.
massive. The skin is your biggest organ, isn't it? So
That's
what you
correct.
put on the
Mhm.
inside is going to be, positive. The more goodness you put on the inside, the more positive your skin will look, and better. So
Right.
it's not creams. And I love, that I love beauty, obviously, and I love skincare, and it does do amazing work on your
Mhm.
skin. But it is the whole thing. And what you do, you know, you've had a big influence on me. Your whole routine and the whole self-care thing is really important. um
Yeah, you just wrote an article. You wanna tell me about the article about thinking your way to better skin? Like, we can
yeah,
use our thoughts and, I would say, feelings, behaviors, but let's yeah.
yeah, so there was this TikTok craze
Okay.
was hashtag manifest clear skin, and I was like, what is going on with that? And I looked into it, and there's actually a practice called psychodermatology,
Alright.
which there's not that many in the US, which, you know, obviously America is not the biggest, the country that kind of is waving that holistic flag so well as other countries, in my experience,
Mhm.
in the mainstream. But you can find psychodermatologists. It's really hard to say that. And basically, it's all about monitoring your stress levels and how they affect your skin. And studies have found that you know,
Oh,
cortisol can have a real effect on your skin. I mean, you can probably tell me more about that, but I wrote about it and it's really, really interesting.
yeah, it sounds interesting. Well, I can say that when I was just actually just saying this very recently. I feel like I aged like I there was a period of time where I felt like I was reverse aging on a cellular level. And while that has been really helpful in I just had the most stressful year of my life, right? Truly. And I feel like I aged the way I look age has aged. And yet I still feel like I gained all of this knowledge and it's both and, but I can say that it does take a toll, right? Stress, anxiety, and I mean, you moved to another country. I can't even imagine like trying to keep up a beauty routine and self-care when you're making big transitions, right? Like
Yeah, and I think overwhelm as well. When you feel like
that's
you've
it.
got so much on, you just, well, self-care goes to the bottom of the pile, doesn't it? Especially when you're a mum
Mhm.
and you're a, I feel like, and I think you're the same, when I'm going to say ambitious, I
Yeah.
think what I don't mean that we want to kind of earn loads of money or go out there and govern, like, the rule the world.
Right.
But I think personally, we've got personal ambitions. And I
Yes.
think when you're that person,
Mm.
self care can often go down the list because you're running quick. What do I need to do? I need to look after the kids as well, but I also want to do this with my job, and I want to do this, I want to achieve this goal. I also got to keep fit, and you forget to actually sit, reflect, think about actually what does your body really need. And that is where I find your content and you very inspirational, because, you know, when I see your sunrise mornings, it makes me feel like I need to check in with myself
Yeah.
and have those, I call them little micro moments during the day. And almost I've started having a bit of a timetable to,
Mhm.
to remind myself,
Yeah.
especially, dare I say, about the menopause.
Oh, yeah, you wanna talk about the menopause. You've been
The
writing about
menopause
that too?
is
You've been having
another.
an event in New York about menopause. You've been all up in the menopause.
Have. Well, that's another Britishism, is we say the menopause. I don't know
Right.
why we make such a big emphasis on it, but anyway. Yes, so I have not had a period for 18 months. So I am in the middle of it, really. And it coincided, funnily enough, that I started working with hello.com, which is actually originally a Spanish it's called Hola, which is a magazine in Spain. They've also got a magazine in the UK, but they've got a global website which is massive, and it's really great, gaining traction over here. They asked me to head up their menopause hub, and I did an event in New York last couple of weeks ago with them, which was really exciting. And it goes back to what we were saying about self-care, and I think during that time, during menopause, it's generally women are at a time when they're kind of still in work, and they've got their kids are still around, maybe at college, but they're still, it doesn't get easier as they get older. But they're having all these hormonal changes. They
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with their bodies or their minds. And so in the UK, there's been a massive media coverage about menopause, which has really been a positive thing,
Mhm.
in which that there's been this menopause mandate that has been introduced into the workplace, so employers understand more about menopause and the symptoms. So women, there's like the number of women that actually leave work because they think they're depressed. They
Mhm.
don't know what's going on with themselves. So the US has actually got a bit of catching up to do, which is why I'm helping with this work, because we're on a grander scale over here, and
Right.
but the word menopause is still a little bit of a dirty word, as far as it's not allowed to be said on certain shopping channels, apparently.
Oh,
Because I'm working with a few skincare brands that have got the word menopause on their packaging, but
and you
if you
can't
send it
say it?
on, no, because it's too negative. So I'm
Wow.
trying to change that.
We've gotta change that because it's actually really exciting. I mean, yes, there are things that happen that
Yes,
are a bit of a roller coaster, and it is confusing, but it doesn't have to be. I'm realizing, so I'm not there yet, but I'm in that process.
yeah,
And so I'm on the roller coaster with it. And it's
yeah,
really interesting, but it's a really exciting time because it's an important position that women have once you are in that place of being able to help your offspring and their offspring, and it's just an amazing time.
and that is exactly it. I'm trying to rebrand it from menopause to menopower.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it really is. But I
Some
know there are people
people,
listening that are like, "Nuh-uh, this sucks."
no, listen, I get it. I totally get it. I'm, the anxiety, the
Right.
hot, the flashes, but at the same time, I don't want to swear, but you feel like you don't give,
Uh-huh. You
you
can swear on here. It's okay. Yeah,
don't give a shit, do you?
yeah, you don't get
You're at
your
an age where you're like, I don't really care
and
what people.
honestly, this is what's helping me the most in this redefining myself or reinventing myself and really looking at authenticity, because it's like I have worried about what people think way more than I would have said because I'm ambitious and a little bit of an overthinker. I just want things to be good, right? And good for my family, good for everybody, good for the world. And so I've done a lot of tiptoeing that I didn't even realize I was doing. Holding back in ways that I didn't even I've got some work to do there, right? I'm not home free. But still, yeah, I just don't give a shit. I am tired of being afraid to just
Yeah,
be myself. And I was like, there is an age, maybe it's age, maybe it's, coming into menopause or whatever it is, but maybe it's also just the time. I don't care if you're 20 or 30 or whatever.
yeah, I do. I don't know. I think you've got nothing to prove, have you? That's the thing. And I don't know whether it is an age or menopause, but I really feel more empowered. But I also feel way more driven than I ever have felt.
Same. Yeah.
And I don't know if that is because the impending empty nest kind of, that's where you kind of feel like I've got more time on my hands. So I haven't got an excuse not to do it,
Mhm.
not to have those plans. I'm allowed to have those plans now.
There is a bit of that, right? but I do feel like there's a shift, like in my heart, there's a shift,
Mm,
in my
mm.
soul or wherever the soul is, right? But I feel like there's a shift in the
I
essence
wonder,
of my being.
sorry, yeah, I wonder if it's to do with um so, that we are in the second part of our life. So
Right.
not really consciously thinking about realizing it, but we know that we're kind of, we've only got so much time. Not
Time
saying
is
that,
ticking. Yeah.
yeah, it's not, I'm not saying it's not a long time because it is. Women are, we, 100 years ago, this
Right.
really was probably towards the twilight years kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I think that's why, even more so, menopause should be reframed too, because it really, a lot of women, I think, their mums probably didn't teach them much about it, or they see it as the kind of the beginning of the end, whereas I'm just seeing it as the beginning of the new beginning.
Let's hope so. I know,
Oh,
because I
100%.
still look around. I mean, we live in Florida. There are
Yeah.
a lot of older people here and really sweet, lovely people. And I don't know, I still feel like I've got so much time, but yet that I'm closer than I was to that
Mm,
age. But I'm
yeah.
looking around going, who who is active, excited about life, has that vibrancy, that shimmer in their eye, that kind of
You,
yeah,
me.
right. Like I want if there's any way to not just preserve that, because I feel like this is a whole new beginning of being able to shed some of the old stuff, right?
Definitely. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying about being authentic, when you were saying about swearing and stuff. Like, is that authentic me, or is that something I need to shed? And I
Mhm.
guess it is, you are at that point. For me, I feel like I need to shed, not stop worrying about what other people think.
Right.
That's the massive thing.
Yeah.
And always, I was only thinking about this in bed last night. Something, a work thing happened, and I kind of felt guilty about it, but I had nothing to feel guilty about. It
Mhm.
wasn't, I'm not going to go into what it was, but I
Right.
just thought, why do I always think I'm the one that's doing something wrong?
Mhm.
Why don't I just, also, I still slightly have imposter syndrome.
Right. Oh, I know. Yeah. I feel it myself. Yeah. Yeah. I
I
know.
mean,
I
how many
know.
PhDs have you got?
I know, right. I mean, yeah, how many degrees did I get to not feel like that? And I'm still I know, like, really, could that just and I wonder if that's a part of that kind of ambitious overthinking, like, I don't know if that's a part of it, but I have noticed that the more I get clear about the different kinds of anxiety in me, where there's some anxiety that I call secure anxiety, just because I don't have a better word for it, but it's more where you're just really excited and passionate. And so there's a little bit of anxiousness, but it's more about trying to make sure it goes well, hoping that it goes well, right? As opposed to the insecure anxious, which is really that imposter syndrome that I start to feel like, am I really prepared for this? And I'm anxious, not, I want to get it over with, not so much like the secure anxiety where I'm like ready to do it. I'm ready
Yeah.
to get this on and I'm anxious because I want it to go well. But that insecure anxiety that a lot of us have, I don't think we necessarily look at it and understand it and realize that and I think sometimes we're even a little addicted to it because we think that the anxiousness is actually what's propelling us when I don't think it is. So
No.
if we're really honest, do we really want to get rid of it or do we just want to decipher what is secure anxious or more of a positive,
Yeah.
kind of that eustress, that yeah, the motivating kind versus the distress and the insecure anxiety that is just keeping us frazzled and inauthentic and hustling and doing all this shit that we don't need to be doing.
That is so, so true. I had that event in New York a couple of weeks ago, and
Mhm.
I love doing things like that.
Yeah.
But I was so anxious beforehand. And I think I knew I could do it, but it was just that I wanted to do it really well.
Right. Yeah.
And it went really well, apart
Yeah.
from I had a coughing fit in the middle of it.
It happens.
And then, when you swallow down the wrong hole,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Familiar.
why does
Mhm.
that happen at the worst time? But again, that goes back to authenticity, and
Right. Mhm.
everyone was really complimentary afterwards. But it's nice because I think it's fine to show nerves. Again, that goes back to being authentic and being real.
Mhm.
And like, you're not a robot. Everyone has those thoughts.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter who you are, even if you're Taylor Swift. I'm sure Taylor Swift gets nervous before she goes on stage.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She doesn't seem like she's too nervous. Maybe the secure anxious. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about you and your show that
Oh,
you are
yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
launching your own podcast, which sounds amazing.
Yeah. So this has been like a dream, not a dream, I guess, something that I've wanted to do for a long time. Um, I've done blogging before, and I've hosted a podcast for Hello. Actually, it's not out yet, for their menopause channel. But I've always wanted to do my own one, and it's called Smiling Gives You Wrinkles, because I wanted to do something that is all about pro aging and aging unapologetically, and a positive look on aging. So I'm going to be having all different types of guests on there, from people in the public eye, actresses, how they approach aging, which, being in the media is not the easiest thing. It's normally they're, pushed aside after the age of 35. To makeup artists on how to kind of make the most. This is not about hiding anything. This is about making the most of your skin. I just really want women to listen to it and to feel positive about the years ahead. And the name actually came from, you'll remember this, Kelly. I put TikTok up a couple of years ago.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
about 18 months ago,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I literally didn't know what I was doing on TikTok. I think we were both in the same
Yeah. Right.
zone. And I remember just someone said, "Oh, you should try TikTok." So I was moaning about my Instagram numbers and how the algorithm's so rubbish, blah, blah, blah. They said, "Oh, the algorithm's great on TikTok. Things go viral all the time." So I didn't really think about it. And I thought, you know what, I'll just put a clip from Instagram and re-put it on TikTok, like
Right.
reload TikTok. So I remember this so well. It was like 11:30 at night. I was on my phone. Sorry, I shouldn't be.
But yeah, well, it's okay. Yeah. Everybody does it. You'll learn. We'll get you some blue blockers.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
do need them. That's my next stage. Um, and I loaded it up onto TikTok. I mean, I feel like I'm quite savvy with social media, but
Yeah.
I didn't even think to put a caption or anything. I just put this video
Slapped
out.
it up there. Yeah.
And it was all about me saying, I'm a beauty editor, I've never had Botox, and this is the product that I use. So the next morning, oh, I looked on my Instagram and I thought, oh, I've got all these new followers, thinking, where have they come from? Went onto TikTok, and this video had gone viral. I think it's got like over 1 million views now. It went viral partly because I hadn't put a caption on it. So everyone was going, well, what is the product then? What is this stupid woman do? Like, they're really mean on TikTok,
Oh,
aren't
really mean. Yeah, I know.
they? Were like, what is this woman doing? She doesn't know how to use TikTok. So that was one of the reasons. So maybe that's a good tactic. Just don't put something really insightful up there, but don't put a caption on, because then it will go viral. And then the other thing was, they were going, well, I don't believe her. She's definitely had Botox, blah, 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 blah. So I was just like, oh, do I really want to get involved in this? And then someone I put another video up responding saying, sorry, this is the product. I haven't had Botox, and I started like moving my face. And then some woman said, you really shouldn't move your face like that. Those wrinkles are really ugly. Those forehead wrinkles are really ugly. Well, that's not very nice, is it? So I found this quote or something. It was a Roald Dahl one about I can't remember it, how if you smile, sunshine beams out of your face and you always look lovely or something. And then it led on to me thinking how actually smiling gives you wrinkles, and that's sunshine gives you wrinkles, and that's a positive thing. I mean, not a lot of sun is always good, but you know. So that's where the name come from, and that's how I want women to feel. I just want them to feel really positive about getting older. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm 47, so I'm still relatively young.
You're a
But
baby. Yeah, that's young.
so,
You're the baby of the group. Yeah.
of our friendship group, yeah. But I just think it's a really nice thing. And I think there are a lot of beauty editors or beauty podcasts out there that are just addressing, well, how should I put my makeup on? Or this is more about how to feel as well. It will be all of those things. It will encompass, makeup and hair and skincare tips, but it'll also be looking at how women feel about aging and how they're being their most authentic self.
Yeah. And laughter is really
Yeah.
good medicine and important. And
Yeah.
fuck,
I mean,
we want those wrinkles from the laughter.
exactly. And yeah, so the name is all about, it's just promoting positivity, really. And actually it's okay to have wrinkles.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I know. I mean,
Look,
you have to.
all of those.
I know. You shouldn't do that. And I was like,
I
wow,
know. And I am really bad at frowning. The thing is, I'm
I
one
am
of those.
prouder.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And I think you're like me.
mhm.
You can, whatever you're thinking, you can see it in your face.
Well, sometimes I do have that resting bitch face that I swear I am not. I'm usually thinking something pretty positive when people are like, "What's going on?" But I do the frown thing. Yeah, so I've got those really deep lines between my eyebrows, but whatever. That's that's
Hi.
that's life. That's what we're doing. It's okay. It really is okay.
I
So we're
know.
yeah. So it's funny that you're a mom of two boys with this big burly husband that we love, Daniel, and you're so focused on women and girls and it's just
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. I do get ribbed a little bit at home
mm,
about ribbed as, do you know what that means?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I think so. Yeah. Teased, egged
like,
on a little, yeah.
yeah, but I think it's brilliant for them to have a female role model, especially the boys,
Mhm,
that, is ambitious and that is, I mean, Dan grew up in more of a traditional household where,
mhm.
his mum didn't really go, I mean, love her. She didn't go to work, she didn't have a career. And I think it's really a positive thing for the boys to see, you know, me really empowering women, because that's the way it should be.
Mhm.
Um, and there's still a long way to go, but
Yeah.
I feel, yeah, it's funny. I've never really thought about that with the boys,
I
but
know. Yeah.
love it. They love it. They know more about skincare
I
than
know they
their friends do. I don't think they realise they do, but I think it just
yeah,
goes in. And I used to do a little slot with Billy
yeah, yeah.
beauty on the school run. This was mainly in the UK, and I used to review products in the car. We don't have car lines in the UK. We just sit outside the school and wait for the bell to ring, and then we walk them up to the school. So I always used to get there a bit early to get a good spot,
Mhm.
and then would sit in the car and film and put it up on my stories. And it was so popular because Billy would be in the back, like usually just sitting there going, this is really boring. But then the odd occasion he would get involved. Like this one time I had this face mask and he put it on. It was hilarious. So yeah, so a lot of my followers have kind of seen Billy grow up, but I think Billy probably knows more, the youngest knows more about skincare than Oliver does, because he's heard so much about it in the
I
car
know.
during the school run.
They're so cute. Yeah. So for you, what nourishes your soul? Because or your mind, body, soul.
um I guess the happiness of the people around me is really important. Um that's what nourishes my soul. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you are definitely a loving, like, spread the love.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Why is that?
Well, because it's so important to you. Yeah, and that's what feeds your soul. And I think so the people who are kind of the need to pleasers, because you don't come across some people that are need to please. Like my mom is a need to please kind of person. When people are around her, that when she feels like they're happy and good, she's good.
Yeah.
And need to pleasers are some of the healthiest people in the world when they actually get their own needs met.
Right.
So when they don't, they can be quite bitter and
Right. Yeah.
angry and like, but when they're getting their own needs met and they're really filling their own cup, then they're able to like give out more to people.
Yeah.
And you really seem to have found a nice balance in
Yeah.
life of filling your cup up so that you can then
Yes. You can't
spread.
pour from an empty cup, can you?
Yeah, it's or a
You-
cup that's got holes in it that you keep filling up, but you're not addressing the holes so it keeps leaking out. Mhm.
yeah, I think that's something you learn, don't you? You have to, again, that's something you learn to kind of, that you have to look after yourself in order to look after the others.
I think you learn it, but I also think sometimes people need to give themselves permission to do it because they
Yeah,
don't feel like they
true.
can do that. And so to realize that you have to put your own I mean that saying, right? The oxygen mask goes on you first before you're
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
I think that's my answer. I mean,
mhm.
I wonder what's yours? What if there's one thing?
Oh, it's funny. I don't think anybody's ever turned that on me. Yeah, because it's a good question of like what
It
nerd because
really is.
I thought you were gonna say by exercising because 'cause you've been really committed to your exercise routine, but that's the point, is that you're filling your cup up, you're taking good care of yourself, but you for sure, you are a love. You love to make sure everybody else is good. I actually was thinking about you the other day when you said, "I got my soda waters." You're like, "I got
Oh,
some of those when one of the first times I came to your house."
oh
So
yeah.
sweet. Just making sure everybody's good.
Yeah, it's funny, I don't see, like, sometimes I don't think that I'm that thoughtful, but I think it's more like I just want everyone to be happy and okay. And
Mm.
I if I pick up, I the kids always say, I'm like, "Are you all right?" Because if they come out of school and they're slightly off, I do keep saying, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're
I
okay?"
love so one of my favorite things, what I learned when you asked me what nourishes me. I think my rituals that I have that really nourish
Yeah.
my body, mind, soul have really they're really important to me. But I also years ago when I was learning about how how I receive empathy, like what feels empathetic to me, what feels like somebody understands me and I like to be asked, "Are you okay?" So when I something happens in the day, I've tried to train Curtis to say, "Don't try to fix it. Don't start in with the whole, well, I don't know, whatever. Just say, are you okay?" Like in the way you're like, you okay? All the time. I'm like, oh, she's my person. Like she's one of my people because most people that's something that feels really good to me. Like some
Oh,
people like a hug. I'm like, eh. Some people like something else that something feels more like
oh,
empathy to them. That feels like empathy to me. So,
oh, good.
mhm. Yeah.
Need
Yeah.
to Curtis to say, "Are you okay?" Then.
Right, well, we do have to train the people once you know what empathy feels like for you. Like, what feels supportive and like somebody's really cares and understands, not sympathy, not feeling sorry for me, but
Oh,
actually feels like
can't be.
understands, right, understands where I'm coming from. And everybody's different. We all
Yeah.
have different ways of feeling that kind of understood.
It's funny as well, even though I'm really empathetic, there's a bit of me that's quite like with the boys. I'll say we've just got to get on with it. Like I can give tough love. I'm quite good at tough love as well.
That's true.
So
That's
it's
true.
funny actually, because I think my best friend Leah, she always says, you know, there's a point with you that you'll get to, and then you're like, well, hold on a minute, come on, let's just get over it now and let's just get on with it. So it's funny. It's yeah. But I do love exercise as well. That does give me I feel like if I don't start my day with exercise, then I'm set the wrong way. That I'm not gonna
Mhm.
Dan always notices when I don't exercise how it's also, and one thing that I really need to work on that doesn't make me nourished is alcohol. I need to really improve
Oh,
on
I
that.
wondered if that was gonna come up because,
Yeah,
yeah,
often does. Yeah.
it's an interesting, yeah, it's an interesting journey, like the relationship with these things, substances that used to be not a big deal and fun and whatever, and then they start to feel like they're just in the way of you living the life that you want to live. And it could be sugar, it can be caffeine, it can be alcohol, it could be any, really any substance.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've only noticed it in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I've always loved a glass of wine, as you know. I have noticed that physically I can't cope with it. And mentally, you know, the anxiety is
Mhm.
just a whole different level after I've had a drink the morning after. And it annoys me because I just feel like I can't be as productive as I would. So yeah, there's that doesn't make me feel very nourished. And
Mm,
I
right.
do think I feel like now it's all about I'm very more observant about what I'm putting into my body and how I'm looking after my body. Way much more than I ever have.
Right. And I think that's a good point. I always ask, like, what nourishes you? I think it's just as important to figure out what's draining you, what's
Yeah.
not pointing you towards the authentic life that you're choosing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You, I've loved having you on. We covered a lot of things. It was lots of
did.
fun.
That was literally a dream.
Yeah, I'm
I
so,
feel like I've had a therapy session.
oh, it always feels very therapeutic to me too. So I love it. So thank you so much. I'll make sure that people know how to follow you, the beauty ed. Yeah, and you'll keep us posted about the podcast.
Yes, definitely. I'm hoping it will launch in the new year.
January. Awesome. We'll
Well,
look forward to that.
thank you.
Thank you always.